We always talk about technology as this double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it promises this incredible future, but on the other, it can be turned into a weapon against our own privacy. And that is exactly the tension we're diving into today, through two really powerful stories out of Australia. One is a story of massive national ambition, and the other, well, it's one of deeply personal betrayal.
So this is really the heart of it, right here. You've got the Australian government with this huge, super optimistic vision for artificial intelligence. And then, a chilling story that's a stark reminder of how even simple tech, something like public Wi-Fi, can be weaponized. So let's kick things off with the promise.
Okay, so the Australian government is basically going all in, making a huge bet on innovation with its new AI plan. The goal here is pretty clear. Let technology just flourish. They want to become a world leader in the field, and the thinking is you can't do that if you're getting bogged down in red tape. But what does that approach actually look like?
Well, it all boils down to this one key concept: light touch regulation. Instead of writing a whole new rule book just for AI, the idea is to use the laws we already have. The stuff that covers privacy, safety, and consumer rights, and just apply that to handle any issues that pop up. It's a strategy that's really built on trust and guidance, not strict control.
So at the bottom line, the most important part to get is this: no new laws specifically targeting AI. None. And get this, unlike in a lot of other countries, there's not going to be any requirement to label AI-generated content. The government is placing a massive amount of trust in developers to innovate responsibly, essentially giving them the green light to go out and build the future. And this quote right here, it just perfectly sums up their whole philosophy. The government wants to be a guide, not a gatekeeper. The big fear is that if you have too many rules too early, you could just stifle the very innovation they're hoping to spark. It's a bold stance for sure, but you have to admit, that kind of trust, it comes with some pretty significant risks. Okay, but here's the rub. That entire light touch strategy really hinges on our existing laws being strong enough to handle what's coming. So let's test that theory, shall we? We're going to shift gears now, from the high-level world of future policy to a story about a very real, very tangible digital crime that happened right under our noses. This is where the peril of trusting the current system becomes, well, frighteningly clear. This whole story centers on an IT professional over in Perth, a guy who had all the skills to build and protect, but instead he chose to exploit public trust. And he did it in a place we all feel pretty safe, the local free Wi-Fi network. And the way he did it was terrifyingly simple. He set up fake free Wi-Fi hotspots in public places. Women would try to log in, entering their details just like any of us would. But these were digital traps. Once he had their credentials, he basically had the keys to their private lives, getting access and stealing their most personal photos and videos. Now, this wasn't a one-off crime. This scheme, this complete violation of privacy, was active for at least 6 years. Just think about that. 6 years of systematically preying on unsuspecting people. But there is a measure of justice here. For his crimes, he was sentenced to a minimum of 5 years in prison. It sends a pretty clear message about the severity of this kind of digital violation. And here's the twist. After 6 years of this pretty sophisticated technical deception, you'd think it would be some high-tech cybersecurity firm that caught him, right? Nope. It was a single, observant airline employee who just noticed something was wrong and decided to report it. It's an incredible reminder that sometimes our best defense is just human awareness. So you've got these two stories, the ambitious AI plan and the predatory Wi-Fi crime, but they don't exist in a vacuum. They're both unfolding against the backdrop of a tech industry that is in constant chaotic motion. I mean, just look at some of the recent headlines. HP is cutting thousands of jobs. Netflix is killing a popular feature. A massive new data center gets approved. The passport system crashes, bringing airports to a total standstill. A major telecom outage gets blamed on simple vandalism. It's just this constant churn of creation and collapse. So, how do we make sense of all this? How do we connect the government's lofty goals for AI with the grim reality of a Wi-Fi scam? At the end of the day, it all comes down to a fundamental balancing act. This is the core dilemma, isn't it? On one hand, you have a government betting that a hands-off approach will unleash innovation, but on the other, you've got this chilling, real-world example of how today's technology, governed by those very same existing laws, was weaponized for years. It forces us to ask, if our current rules couldn't even stop a Wi-Fi scam, are they truly ready for the complexities of AI? Which leaves us with this one critical question.
As technology accelerates and gets more and more tangled up in our lives, who is ultimately responsible for our safety? Is it the creators who are building the tech? Is it the government that's setting the rules? Or, at the end of the day, does the responsibility fall on each of us to be more vigilant? There's no easy answer, but it's a question we can no longer afford to ignore.